What is up, besties? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Scotty Holiday. I'm a queer creator and a huge Star Wars nerd, so if you're into either one of those things, please consider subscribing for more. Today we got Chapter 18 of The Mandalorian Season 3, The Mines of Mandalore, and I can't wait to talk about it with y'all because there were a lot of cool things going on in this episode. Since the beginning of the Mandalorian series, I've felt like someone or something was hiding on Mandalore, and now we know exactly what that was. But before I get into my review, please make sure to like the video and leave a comment letting me know your thoughts on Chapter 18. I'm putting out weekly reviews for each episode of Mando Season 3, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. You can check out all my Mandalorian content, including my discussion on Chapter 18 with This is the Wayseekers podcast, at the link in the cards and the description as well. Now, let's get into this review. Chapter 18 opens up on Tatooine during the week of Bunta Eve, which is a huge callback to Episode 1 and the annual pod race we saw Anakin race and win. Peli is taking advantage of the holiday with some Jawas until we see the arrival of the N1. Din's come to ask Peli about getting a memory circuit for IG-11, and even she says they haven't made those for a while. Even the Jawas confirm it, with Peli making another callback to the Phantom Menace, telling Din, "Sorry pal, no chance cubes." Peli takes the opportunity to offer up R5-D4, reinstalling the droid port in the N1 and giving R5 a much needed oil bath. I love how he's nervous and scared to go off on an adventure with Din, but I'm also curious as to why Peli didn't offer Din the BD unit instead, since they were literally built to be explorer droids. I also enjoyed the little bit of world building for Tatooine as well with the holiday of Bunta Eve and the celebrations around it. Once they leave Peli's hangar, Din, Grogu, and R5 travel to the Mandalore system, and we get another cute moment with Din teaching Grogu about being a Mandalorian. Din points out the moon Concordia, saying that's where he grew up, which makes sense since by the time of the Clone Wars, the planet was home to Pre Vizsla and his Mandalorian terrorist group Death Watch, which the Children of the Watch are speculated to be an offshoot of. As they fly into Mandalore's atmosphere, the N1 is met with a huge storm inside the clouds, eventually clearing to reveal Mandalore's glassed surface. Din sends a reluctant R5 out first to make sure the atmosphere is breathable, but of course, his signal reading disappears just as he gets out of Din and Grogu's sight, forcing Din to go out looking for the droid on his own. I was surprised to see Din leave Grogu in the N1 alone, but I guess he didn't really have much of a choice. Din eventually comes across the city of Sundari, but is ambushed by a group of Alamites. They disarm him, causing Din to have to resort to using the Darksaber, but it doesn't seem like he's gotten any better with it, struggling just to keep his balance while swinging it at the creatures. Eventually he's able to take them out, find R5, and confirm that Mandalore's atmosphere is breathable after all. Din says the charts were wrong, Bo-Katan was right, Mandalore is not cursed, and I have to wonder what charts he's referring to. I'm curious if maybe the Armorer or the Children of the Watch in general have been lying about the planet, telling everyone that Mandalore is cursed and inhabitable as a way of controlling them, keeping them within the confines of their way, and from seeking out other Mandalorians who may have different beliefs. It's a very cultish thing to do. So from here, Din and Grogu make their way into the depths of Sundari in search of the mines, eventually coming across an old Mandalorian helmet in a pile of rubble. As Din picks up the helmet and examines it, we get our first jump scare of the episode. Two huge claws burst up from the rubble below, trapping Din, revealing only what I can describe as a Lovecraftian mech creature. Between the noises, movement, and the creepy singular eye, this thing really felt like straight up horror in Star Wars. Like, this creature really made my skin crawl in every scene it was in. It kind of reminded me of Spider-Maul as well, but I'll get more into its other scenes in a bit. We see the creature sedate Din, taking him back to its lair, as Grogu just watches and follows in horror. The mech eventually opens up, revealing the creature inside, which honestly was even more unsettling, and we see it go over Din's body to remove his blaster and the Darksaber, throwing them to the ground below, along with a ton of empty Mandalorian helmets. Luckily, Grogu is much braver than me, and once he has the chance, he runs over to the cage, using the Force to try to unlock it, but the noise alerts the creature. Before the creature can get to Grogu, Din tells him, "Get to Bo-Katan," and Grogu literally flies out of the lair in his pod and back up to Mandalore's surface. The sequence was so tense watching Grogu try to navigate his way out of the caverns alone, mixed with the music, plus jump scare number 2. I was so stressed, though I thought it was really cool to see Grogu do this on his own, despite the circumstances. I always love these little moments where we get to see how strong Grogu is on his own, and how in this moment, it specifically highlighted Grogu's emotional strength and determination instead of just his strength in the Force. It was also so cute seeing him put Din's lesson to use, using the N1's map to instruct R5 on where to take him, and then we get jump scare number 3 as he and R5 take off. We catch up with Bo-Katan, all sad in her castle as her droid informs her of the arrival of the N1. She tells the droid, let's get rid of him once and for all, and I seriously thought she was gonna try to kill Din, but instead she goes out to the landing pad just to yell that she wants to be left alone. And this is when I realized that Bo is actually super depressed, and it's super relatable. But once she sees Grogu pop his head up from the cockpit and that desperate look in his eyes, she immediately rushes into action. Bo takes both Grogu and R5 with her on the gauntlet, headed to Mandalore, and as they make their way through the clouds, we see the city of Sundari emerge below, and Bo seems both happy and sad to be back on the planet. Seeing what's left of the city is probably a huge reminder of her past, the good and the bad, and you can definitely see it on her face in these scenes. Once they land, Bo has Grogu lead the way, and they actually have a lot of fun moments together as they navigate through the Sundari wreckage. A line that really hit for me was when she tells Grogu, this was once a beautiful civilization, now it's a tomb. As they travel deeper into the sewers, Bo mentions knowing a few Jedi and working with them in the past, which of course I loved as a Star Wars animation fan. We've seen Bo work with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka Tano, Kanan Jarrus, and Ezra Bridger. She even asks Grogu how good he is with the Force, and I just loved seeing her try to relate and bond with him. We also get not one, but 2 amazing action sequences with Bo in this episode as well. First, she fights a group of Alamites and we get the line, did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian? Which I loved even more with the context. Then we got another great action sequence when she takes on the creature that captured Din. The creature is able to disarm her with its electro staff, but Bo, being the badass she is, grabs the Darksaber and goes crazy. I loved seeing Bo fight with the Darksaber and how she did it so effortlessly, especially in contrast to Din. Like, this moment just really furthered how much I want to see Bo finally become the leader she's always meant to be and lead Mandalore into the future, and I kinda want to see her doing it wielding the Darksaber now. After the battle, we catch back up with Bo, Grogu, and Din in the upper city, and Din once again confirms that she was right about Mandalore not being cursed, but Bo's not so convinced. She makes him a Mandalorian staple, Pog Soup, which he's surprisingly never heard of, and after insisting on getting to the living waters to finally redeem himself, Bo offers to take him herself. I feel like she only offers to take Din just to prove that there's nothing special or magical about the waters, which felt so on point for her character. She's so snarky and sarcastic about the whole living waters experience, and I kinda love it, to be honest. As they navigate through the city to get to the mines, Bo reminds Din and the audience that it wasn't that long ago that the city of Sundari was still inhabited by the Mandalorian people. The setting of this specific scene also looked the most similar to the Sundari I was so used to seeing in the Clone Wars. Bo has another great line in this sequence, explaining to Din that the Mandalorians' constant infighting is what ultimately caused their eventual destruction at the hands of the Empire. Once they make it inside the mines, Bo tells Din the story of her time as a princess, visiting the living waters as a child and taking the Creed as a part of the royal family, making it seem like she only did it to appease her father and their people, not because she truly believed in the event's importance. She tells him that her father died defending Mandalore, and I was honestly waiting for her to follow that up saying that her sister also died defending Mandalore, but of course, there's no mention of Satine since Star Wars loves to ignore our prequel girlies for some reason. Din stops and turns to her saying, "This is the way," almost with a little more emotion than usual, and it seems like this kinda gets to Bo, even if only for a second. Once they arrive at the living waters, Bo sarcastically says, "Here you go, the living waters," and even reads the plaque explaining the history of the site. I love how she was treating the whole experience kind of like a sideshow attraction until she realizes how serious Din's taking it. As he enters the waters, repeating the creed out loud, it's almost as if Din's words are reminding Bo what exactly it means to be a Mandalorian again and sparking that fire back within her. But the moment is cut short when Din disappears into the depths, and Bo wastes no time diving in after him. This moment was super stressful because I really couldn't tell if Din fell in or if something pulled him in, and it felt like Bo was just going deeper and deeper into the water to find him, but eventually she spots his body in the darkness at the bottom. As she she carries his body back up to the surface, the beam of light from her helmet shines along the rocks around them until we eventually see what looks like a horn and then a tusk. But before I could even process that, we see the eye of something open, staring straight back at Bo, revealing a fucking mythosaur. Like, I knew we were gonna see something in the water, but I really did not expect it to be a mythosaur. I can't wait to see how Bo reacts, or if/when she even tells Din what she saw under the water. The discovery of a mythosaur, a creature thought to be long extinct by the time of the prequel trilogy, may actually mark not only the survival, but a new beginning for Mandalore. So this episode gave us not only Mandalorian live action, but a little alien, a little Jaws, a little creature feature. But what did you think of chapter 18, and what are your predictions on where the story will go from here? Did you expect to see a mythosaur in the water? Because I sure did not. Let me know in the comments below, or hit me up on Twitter so we can chat more about it together. I'm putting out weekly reviews for Mando Season 3, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out. You can catch up with all my Mandalorian content at the link in the description and on the end screen of this video as well. Please consider checking them out and leaving a like. I really appreciate all of your support. To keep up with all my Star Wars content, make sure to subscribe and consider following me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Scotty Holiday SW for all my latest updates. Thank you all so much for watching as always, and may the Force be with you.